Amazing. Karin and Sophia, thank you for being on the podcast. Really, really excited to have you guys on.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, super excited.
Awesome. And by the way, I did a lot of research and maybe I didn't do as much research as I should, but I didn't come across a lot of podcasts that you guys have been in.
No,
A lot
that's
of interviews, a lot of YouTube videos, but not necessarily a lot of podcasts.
That's probably true.
Interesting.
Some Swedish ones, though, but some Swedish ones. But I think also, I mean, I don't know where to start really, but we also had a few years where we haven't really talked so much about the brand. We haven't been out there too much. And I think it's maybe been also the prime time of the podcasts being out and about, perhaps. And we have chosen to be a bit more quiet during a few years. So maybe that goes hand in hand.
Okay. And just to get everything started, could you guys give a very brief introduction on who you guys are and what you do? You don't have to be go into very in-depth. I know your story has been put out there quite a lot in detail. So if people are interested, they are more than welcome to do that. But just so that people know who they're going to be sort of like learning from and listening to today.
Okay. So, I mean, we founded the company 2005 and we were three sisters starting it. And I mean, we came from three different directions in a way. And when we gathered together, we kind of talked about, okay, so all want to do this, building our own new brand. And why do we want that? And how come we are all in this business together? So yeah, we had a discussion about it. And then we found out that, well, it's actually our grandmother who inspired us. And her name was Dagmar. And that's why the whole story started with her in a way. And what she did with us, she took care of us when we were kids. And she was a tailor and she was sewing a lot and she was knitting a lot. And she taught us all this stuff. And
she also had a great personality. And she saw life very positive and she made people feel very good about themselves. And she had all these values that we wanted to bring into the company as well. And I think it was super clear to us when we started House of Dagmar that's her name that we wanted to honor. And Karin, you're the biggest sister out of us three, and you're the CEO now. And I'm the youngest. I'm Sophia, and I'm the brand director. Yeah.
Interesting. So everything started out of the aspiration for a person turned into the aspiration to start a brand. And was there anything other than the inspiration behind your grandmother? Was there a very specific opportunity or business opportunity that you spotted and then just connected with the overall vision that you guys were inspired by?
I think we're very inspired from our family first and foremost. I think it's from both our mother and our father in different ways. Our father is an entrepreneur. He started his own businesses. I think I've always known that I was going to have my own business. I never thought I was going to be employed. That was just never in my mind. I always knew I was going to be working for myself or, doing something that I started. So for me, that was just kind of a given. And from my mother's perspective, she's a humanist and she taught us very much to buy less, buy better. She took care of everything from the nature and cooked for us from the nature, from farming to, going on deer hunts, like that type of situation where you take care of everything that you get from the animal or from the plants and really use everything the best way you can. And I think that was something that's how we have always lived our life. And that's something that we really wanted to bring with us when we started Dagmar, because that was the only philosophy we know how to live. It was very obvious for us, I think, when we started the business, that's how our brand is going to be as well.
Yeah, I think we felt that we really wanted to do something like by 2005, we talked a lot about longevity and how can we build a fashion brand that still has a product that is, still strong many years and not being like on the fly of the season type of product. So this is what we want to both to have this fashion vibe and still a long longevity
life. But that's both from our parents. And so I think like the grandmother was like the name and she was some inspiration, but I think also our parents had two different sides that the inspiration came from them as well, and just the way we live our lives. But I think it's just become very, very natural for us.
And then we put up pillars, like, okay, well, let's start the company with 3 pillars about quality in everything we do, high quality in both choice of fabrics, in the production, and also caring about animals and the humans working with the productions, and then also how can we do high quality with the design. So we talked a lot about all this stuff. And then later on, like 5 years later, this word sustainability came to the business. And then we were like, wow, this is actually what we are doing. This is what we're working with. And now suddenly one word.
It just has a name now.
Could explain everything we did. It all came down to it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really like the main inspiration, I would say. Yeah.
Interesting. And was the vision and the inspiration very specific from the very, very beginning, or did it have to evolve for it to be adapted by other people or in the marketplace? Because I understand it was a very organic process, right? Like there was admiration for your grandmother. That admiration had a very specific life philosophy, and I'm guessing creative and design philosophy attached to it. And that philosophy was eventually what drove you to just convert a philosophy into an actual tangible brand. But how specific was the vision starting off, and did it evolve at all throughout time? Or was it, this is what we're going to do, and it actually worked straight on? Or was it something that you guys have to sort of like iterate and improve on from the very, very beginning?
I think, I mean, both Karin and our other sister Christina have been working at H&M for many, many years with fast fashion. And I think both of you guys were very tired from that.
Yeah.
And you felt that you've been working with that so much that something else had to happen. And they were so inspired of doing the opposite of that. That didn't feel modern for them anymore. They just felt like they need to get away from that. So that's when they started to talk about starting their own brand. And that's when they asked me to join in. And we had all of these discussions. If you ask our mother, we've been discussing this brand since we were young around the kitchen table, but that's when we really started to be talking. And I think the inspiration and like the planning of the brand already were set then, that it was going to be a fashion brand with a high quality. We want to be reachable, but still in a premier and higher segments. And I think because we love quality, we're quality nerds, so we really feel that it has to be something that has a high quality. And then, of course, the prices are going to be accordingly. But then we want to be unreachable as well. So it's all of that, all of those combinations put into like one thought when starting it.
We were also like, when we started, there was the business was so much about logos. I remember Gucci and Tom Ford was designing for Gucci, and they were Mark by Mark and Marc Jacobs, and it was like logos and branding and all this, everywhere. We just wanted to do the opposite, like no branding, just like the luxury feeling of a fantastic, sophisticated garment. This was our big vision of creating the design, actually. And so it
and then it's like we're 3 sisters. We live in Stockholm. We live and breathe this lifestyle we have here, and we're very close to the nature, but we're also close to the city. And we felt that we wanted to have clothes that aspired in our lifestyle as well, that we could wear in our daily wear. We could wear it to work. We could go out for a glass of wine with a friend after work, go and drop the kids off in school, or like living this life. But you have to be able to wear the same clothes and feel good about yourself during this whole day. So I think that's also something that was put into this.
Yeah, a lot of our work into the garment is actually to give the wearer like a good consciousness or good feeling, give them
confidence.
We want to confidence, and we want to empower their feeling, to empower the wearer of the garment in a way.
Interesting. Yeah, I understand. And it's almost as it's not only empowerment through personal connection, but also connection through the environment that they're in.
Yeah, and to feel that they feel good in the clothes that they wear. They feel good in the quality. It feels nice in the body. It feels nice how the garments fits your body. It feels that if you like fashion, like nice clothes, it also feels that you have some type of sense of fashion. You're interested. You know what you're looking for. So you have all of these different things that makes you feel a certain way. If we can make anyone more confident by doing that, that's when we've achieved something, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I guess what have you learned about the importance of consistency in your vision and your principles? Because I mean, the brand's going to be what, 20 years in 2 years? And staying consistent with the original principles, the original foundations is extraordinarily difficult. So what have you learned about branding and the consistency of branding and communication and principles over long periods of time?
Stick to your vision and really try to stick to what you have as your original plan. If you believe it, not letting too many other people maybe tell you that you're on the wrong path, because it's so easy to certain things happen along the road. I feel it's easy to listen to other people, and at least that's what we did. We listened to a lot of people that gave us advices, and we thought maybe their advice was better than our feeling and our thoughts. And I think we had a very clear vision and clear path from the beginning. But it's like I have said for a few years now, I feel like I'm 8-9 years behind schedule because we did take some wrong turns, and we did take some wrong decisions during these years that have made us get to where we are today.
Yeah, and also the business. I mean, the market has changed. You know, the whole change of going from physical stores and shopping in physical stores, going over to 2018, everything went over to digital shopping. So a lot of our customers kind of disappeared, and we have to do like a new strategy. So those years were very much like
starting all over again.
Yeah, we had to start over, and it was kind of good because we didn't like where we were then, and kind of restarted the company, you and I, the last 3.5 years, I think. So we have really done a lot the last 3 years. So we are on a new path, you could say.
Interesting. Yeah, and when you mentioned the biggest mistakes or the mistakes that you've made along your career, has this been the biggest and most prominent one? Just not adapting to the online sales momentum fast enough?
Yeah, also taking a wrong path in our customer. I think we started to grow quite quickly. And we had also always a quite clear vision to sell internationally with the brand, because we knew that the customers were not so many in Sweden who could maybe afford, but there was not many people enough so we could grow in Sweden. So we always felt that we had to go internationally. And I think we grew very quickly in Sweden when we started. And I think that also became sometimes maybe the customer that was not the customer we had originally planned for. And the demand was something else than we had made the clothes for. So the demand is changing, and we're continuing what we were doing, and the demand is something else, and we're not delivering what the demand was, and that became like a clinch, I think.
Very much.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. What period was this? Was it when the brand had just started, or 10 years, 5 years, 15 years?
Like 10 years.
10 years of like, yeah.
And what? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So after this change in the digitalization, we kind of had to restart or like rethink a new strategy, and then we made like our own. You know, we want to rule the brand. No one else can rule it. So we are growing through our own channels, and then of course we are growing now exports through like other retailers, but then it's like luxury retailers, and then it's more as a partner and more just a slight expansion of the brand's luxury level. So
stores that also understands the brand and understands our vision, and goes in line with our vision, and then it makes sense because then they have the same customer and it's going to be better for everyone in the end. So I think that was that was like probably the biggest thing in the company for sure.
Interesting. So the challenges that came with digitalization and the challenges that came through explosive growth and demand, that it inadvertently attracted you to start making decisions based on something that was against the foundational principles of the company or of the brand, I'm guessing.
Good summary.
And what happened that came to that? Because usually it doesn't happen that way. Usually growth is because you're doing something right with your principles, right? And it's just that. What
happened was actually, to be honest, me and my sisters, all three of us were in a room, and none of us was wearing Dagmar anymore. It was kind of clear, and we were standing before a meeting, and everyone says, "Why not wearing Dagmar?" I'm like, "Oh, it's not for me anymore." I said, and Karin said the same, and Christina said the same. Why are we doing this if no one wants to wear the clothes anymore? Yeah, it's a good question, we said, and that's when we kind of pulled the brake a bit and started to just we have to sit down and talk to ourselves. What are we doing? Why did we start this? Who's our customer if we're not wearing it anymore? And we have to just rethink, go back to the roots, why we even started this. And we actually, and that's what I started actually this whole conversation about, that I said that we were quiet for a few years because that's when we didn't want any PR about us. We didn't want any magazines almost to say anything about us. We were very quiet for a few years, did a rebranding, changed a lot within the company, and now we feel more confident than ever. And I think we did a great change.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was an identity crisis, essentially. 100%. Interesting. Yeah. And what made you originally? What did you learn about going through that process? I mean, because I'm guessing growth happened and you just listened to whatever that growth was coming from, that customer, whatever they were saying, and you adapted your business and your vision based on that. But what created that inorganic momentum at the very beginning?
I think, the change, if you mean the change, like how we did it, or
I'm trying to understand why did you start making those wrong decisions? The financial incentive and the growth incentive was there, right? But
it's a demand from the buyers, from the customers. So if you have a lot of stores that want certain products from you, and you're designing a collection, and they only buy like 10% of the collection, and they want more of that type of 10%. Yeah. And perhaps that is not the products that you are thinking that the brand should stand for. And then you're like going wrong with the brand.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
That was like one of the things. And I think what we actually did as well, we stopped selling to a lot of stores. We made the company much smaller. We changed a lot within the company. We went back a lot in turnover, but that we did because we took that step. And that was very important for us because we did not want to show ourselves wrong in any moment then. Then we went back, and what we learned from that, what I feel what we've been doing now is that we've been so clear. Like this is exactly the way we're going to go. And there's no small turnings to left or right. We just have to go straight now and only do that. And I think that's been...
And the learning from these last 3 years, it's that really go the way you and I believe in now and not listen to anyone else.
Of course, the team that we work with, because they are in the team and understand.
But the close team, we of course listen to. We have a very great team, actually. And just follow exactly what we have decided to build, and
believe in ourselves,
believe
in our vision,
and stick to it. And as you said,
that's the most important.
And this has really, I think we have, and now 3 years later, we are on a good path. We can really see that all this work has been finalized in a very good. We are in a good place now.
Now we wear the clothes.
Now we wear the clothes. But also, I mean, the turnover the last 2 years have almost doubled, and we can see that both that the people we want to wear the brand is actually wearing them, and we can see the customer very clear, and we can also see the turnover. The figures are also showing.
Of course, yeah, they're correlated with that. Interesting. Yeah, It's interesting how the evolution of identity sort of like happens, right? Because everybody has their own personal identity, and there's some insecurity or that causes you to start changing that. Insecurities in business tend to be, cash flow problems, financial ambitions, investors. And through making those bad decisions, you learn and become even more confident about who you were at the very, very beginning. And if you manage to transition and learn from that experience, you can have a very newfound and solidified vision of who you are as people, but also who you are as brands. Because I mean, in a dynamic like yours, House of Dagmar is literally an extension of who you three guys are.
And that's true. And I think if you are the creator of a brand and building a brand, you have to really to stick and be true to yourself and believe in yourself and stick to it, not listen too much to other people because they don't have your vision on, they don't see what your vision of it. So it's so important because we knew our vision, and a lot of like the first 2 years, the board was like, well, what is the brand? What do you want with the brand? And they didn't really understand it. And we had such a clear vision. Today, no one is asking about that. I mean, everyone is very clear in the company, in the board and everything. So it's nice that we finally like nailed it.
Interesting. Awesome. And what, I guess the question that I want to ask is, what is this newfound vision? How is it different from what it is originally, or it's the same that it was originally?
I think we probably went back a lot to what it was originally, for sure. And just kind of reclaimed our brand, it feels like, and the vision. So I think we're just doing it maybe a bit more stronger now, and I have like a clearer path to the original plan. Perhaps.
Interesting. And what is House of Dagmar now that you've had this experience to go through, to reflect, to learn? What is House of Dagmar now? What do you want it to become in the future?
I mean, what it hopefully is, as you said today, hopefully it could empower the new generations of influential women. That's, our goal for sure. But with that said, we want people to feel comfortable wearing our clothes and feel modern and feel, how can you say, modern and confident and strong. And I think what Dagmar is today it's a minimalistic brand from Stockholm with a feminine touch and with a certain edge to it. And I think if we're going to work with sustainability and also be a fashion brand, it's a bit difficult because they don't really correlate sometimes. But if we can try to do that in the best possible way we can, and that is to try to design product that lives for a long time. So it has to then be classic enough for the piece to be in your wardrobe many, many years. It also has to be edgy enough because otherwise you don't want it to be in your wardrobe for many, many years because then it becomes boring. So it's that meeting point between being classic and edgy that's very, very important for a brand, because the best, I think, like recipe that we've done something right is when people come up to us and say, I've been wearing your things for the past 10 years and it's still amazing. I mean, that's when we have succeeded, I think. And from the design perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also, I mean, we had a vision that people should have our products as their favorites in their wardrobe. And now we hear so often that they say, this is still my favorite after 5 years or something. And can't you do it again because I love it or something?
And I mean, that's great. And then, of course, the quality has to work as well to make that happen. So that has to be high enough, and then it has to be produced in a conscious way according to all type of measurements and regulations and certifications and all of that. So I think it's all of these combinations. That's what makes Dagmar today.
Of course. Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. So the newfound ambition of the vision needs to be communicated effectively, and the expectations need to be met through product, quality, service. So exactly. With the existing relationship that the customers have with the brand, whether it be through product, channels, marketing, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Wow, interesting. And what piece of advice would you give your younger selves or each other if you were at that specific moment in time? Because I think that is it's almost such a difficult and common challenge for big brands that I'm starting to think that it's almost impossible for people to avoid it if they don't go through the experience. So what piece of advice, what piece of knowledge, what piece of principles do you think could have maybe prevented you to go down this path from the very, very beginning?
I mean, I think business-wise, I think as in all business, it doesn't matter if it's the fashion business or any other business, but trying to have a focus, you know, just not do everything at the same time. You're really like excited. You want to do shoes, you want to do clothes, perhaps shoes brand. I heard a shoes brand. They started to do a clothing collection, and of course it costs a lot, and it's something totally different. So
of course.
And it doesn't turn out to be so well, and they are like losing a lot of money. So, I mean, trying to be focused, and if you have your customer very clear, maybe then you can add products, because then you have the style of the customer, you know, she has her style, she knows you as a brand, and you can give her more type of products within that style, as we do now. We have added shoes and stuff. But I mean, don't try to do everything at the same time. Try to do one thing at a time. And when it's well, then you add things on the way. I think that is very important to manage, because you are probably a few people in the beginning. You don't have a lot of money,
and have a strong focus and a strong mind in what you want to do and what you want to achieve. And if you have that written down, try to go for it and not be too scared to take in too much information from everyone else who you might believe are much more bigger experts in your field. Because I think you are where you are for a certain reason, and you start what you want to start for a certain reason. And if someone is doing whatever, they must have some type of knowledge, because that's why they want to start doing shoes, jewelry, whatever they want to do, and then they know something. Believe in that. Believe in what you know, and everyone can do it. You just have to have patience and be focused, I think.
Interesting. So focus on product, focus on infrastructure, focus on what you're communicating. What about being focused on the markets that you're serving to?
Yeah, 100%. You have to know your customer. I think that's probably the most, well, that goes in my focus thing. Yeah.
So if you're a Swedish brand, focus on Sweden.
No, it doesn't have to be like that. I think you have to just know your customer. For us, it's our customer. She lives, we have like a clear vision how she is and where she lives. And she lives everywhere around the world. She's the same person in New York as in London, as in Stockholm, as in Paris. But the inspiration for our woman is from here in Stockholm. But the person who lives her lifestyle and wants to look like her, she lives in different parts of the world, which is fantastic. Right. So as long as you have a certain, you have to know what does she want? What does she like to eat, do? How does she look? Where does she go? Or what does she work with? I don't know. All of these small things. If you can put like little vision on who she is, maybe it's easier to create for that person.
I mean, honestly, you do quite a lot what you like, your vision.
We tend to do that, yes.
That's what you buy into when you buy Dagmar. You buy a lot. Sophia is a creative director, or I mean, we of course do a lot of things together, but I mean, it is like your vision of your life that you are creating, and that, I mean, we are traveling a lot and traveling around the world, meeting women the same type of as us. And that's so nice to see that they are the same type in New York, in Paris, in London, and it's for these women we are doing the clothes, actually.
Interesting. And after all of these years, who is your continuous teacher? Who do you look for new lessons? Is it the customer? Is it yourselves? Is it a mentor? Is it another brand that you admire? What continuous source of influence or learning do you use?
Good question, actually. For me, I think it's a lot with a lot of my crowd around me. A lot of very smart friends around me who we always have big discussions about work and what we like, what we don't like, and my friend group, and I think are my biggest influence and they're tough on me. They tell me if we're not doing anything right, if they're asking me, why did you work with that photographer or that stylist or designer or whatever it could be. I'm just giving some points up, but they could tell me. And I think that's really important, that you surround yourself with people who are honest. And so I think that's been important for me, to have great people around me, but also learning by doing. It's a very
and inspiration is, I mean, also our colleagues are very inspiring, and we are creating all this together with a good team. So yeah, for sure.
Interesting. And going to the digitalization sort of like change in the industry, because at this point it's almost like it was a curse, but it was also a blessing in disguise, right? Because COVID did push it really, really quickly, but it's starting to be a lot stronger now than it used to be before. So what did you learn through that experience mostly?
But we did this change that we did just before COVID. So maybe a year before COVID happened, we had already sat down, started the process of doing a change. And I think that's the biggest reason why we went through the whole COVID situation with the brand. I'm not sure if we would have been in the same situation today if we hadn't started that process much earlier. So that was just, it was very good for us.
Good timing for us.
It was
actually.
Good timing.
And we kind of...
Since we wanted to be quiet anyway and be very relaxed in everything we did, it was working good for us.
Yeah, we just sat in the office and worked. Yeah. It was actually fun. I mean, we could even get new customers from South Korea, from US, even though they never met us, they never saw the collection, and they still were placing orders digitally. Kind of interesting time for fashion, because normally people want to see, of course. I mean, that was a must. But suddenly people just bought on digital.
Do you feel excited about that transition overall? Optimistic, pessimistic, do you think?
The positive thing, I think, that came out of COVID, I'm not sure how much it had to do with COVID, but what happened was that people became much more cautious of how they started to buy their clothes. So the sustainability part became, in Sweden at least, a much bigger topic. We've been working with this forever. We have never heard anyone ask us about sustainability, about our qualities, how we have been working. I mean, that has not been the biggest topic that people have been talking to us about. But now things have started to really it came out much bigger after COVID, and people are taking much more bigger responsibilities. Brands are having this as a priority. I think that's been the best. From my perspective,
consumers are more conscious about their choices.
Yeah,
it feels like people are buying less, and this is the whole idea of our business. I mean, buy less, but buy thoughtful. I mean, invest in a few pieces that you can wear much more and for a longer term. So, I mean, the whole idea with participating to a better climate and in the environment is to actually consume less. We have to start shop less. That is so important. And I think that's what people have done, actually, being more conscious. I don't know, but you think so?
Yeah, definitely. So first thing was to find yourselves. Second thing was to rediscover your customer. Third thing was to rebuild a relationship between your genuine self and your genuine customer. And then it was a matter of analyzing the external environment that was very digitalized and just creating the right channels for you to adapt to it.
Yeah, good summary.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a while. I've gotten a lot of practice.
That's what we have done the last couple of years. You just still okay, good.
It'd be bad if I'd been doing this for years and I didn't have practice, but yeah, this comes with the job. Okay. Interesting. And overall, over that process, did you feel that you also evolved, improved as a family in different ways? Or it's because the family has been always so strong that you managed to go through the process productively?
I think probably the last. So I think because we're very strong family and very strong family bonds, I think, of course, you go through certain paths in your life, that you go through certain parts that makes you feel a certain way, and there is children and, you know, all these different things. I think because we're a strong family, have strong fundamentals, I think that's the reason why we also came out on the other side. And we all wanted to do this vision. We all felt this was the only way for Dagmar to move forward.
Yeah, I think it could have been much more difficult if we were not a family, you and I, working on this path now.
Yeah.
It's been a strength that we had each other and we're like doing it together. It has been feeling very good.
Yeah, and it's I mean, it's a testament to the, and you guys can probably attest to this, to the power of brand and how it permeates not only product but individuals, both customers and founders. Because brand is such a fascinating thing, because it can be so powerful, but it's like reputation. One really bad decision, one miscommunication internally with decision makers, one fight over vision or non-complementary values, and it can ruin everything. So it takes a very, very solidified and productive relationship internally to make those decisions at scale correctly.
True. Very true.
Interesting. And when looking at everything that you guys have gone through over the last 20 years, what has continuously proven to be the most important things over and over again? Because I'm based, of course, the world and the landscape change and brands evolve and technology evolves, but I'm guessing the principles and the most important things are just kind of the same, just dressed in different ways.
I think, I mean, work-wise together for you and I has been that we are like always talking and always going back to like what we have in mind, or discuss together with each other, that we have each other has been very helpful, you know, that we always, I have a problem with this, you have a problem with that. We are having each other in a way has been the best part. And then, of course, sticking to the idea that we now had, sticking to that, not leave from that path has been so important, and there has been some questionings around the way.
We are questioned all the time, it feels like, but we just have to be
but we're like we are very strong now together and believe in each other in this. So I think that has been the strength, that questioning from outside here and there, we have each other's back there, and that has helped the company actually in a way,
of course,
to come where we are today.
Of course, yeah. So it's a strong founder dynamic, which leads to a better support system, which leads to better decisions in the short and long term of the company. Because it is easier to make right decisions if there's a lot of people bringing in objective feedback and the same vision versus just one guy or one female looking at the business through their lens, their own mistakes, et cetera, et cetera.
I think also, just to add, I think to find a team that really understands your vision and your goal, that really goes the same path as we do without questioning and really understanding, has also been a game changer. I think we have a great team today that really understands the concept and our vision. So I think that's been fantastic also. It's very much easier to work in. Yeah.
And how do you filter people that genuinely have that vision versus people that just want the job and have a great curriculum but don't have the passion for the vision?
See, this is the most difficult, to find the right people, right? 20 years. No, but
super difficult.
No, we had many great people along the way, of course. But I think what's great now is like the whole team is it's a great teamwork, and people have great respect for each other and have great understanding of the vision and the goal. And I think how to find that. It's really to, I mean, try to ask the right questions, try to make them, I mean, ideas of how they see the brand and their vision and things like that, I think has helped us a lot. Of
course. Yeah. And it also, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, but I mean, and also you have to try. I mean, you have to try to work. And if it doesn't work, then we have also learned that, okay, let's break here, and it's not the end of the world. And people can continue. We have a lot of nice colleague that has left Dagmar, but we're still very good friends with everybody, almost everybody. So it's so nice to have the old Dagmar staff out there supporting too, even though we're not colleagues today. So yeah, that is also nice.
Interesting. Yeah. And it also, I mean, it could also be a testament to the importance of most of the conversation, which is knowing who you are as a brand and staying true to that. Because if you do that successfully, it's going to organically attract people that are attracted to that vision. And then your role is just to filter out people that just want a job because it's a well-known brand versus people that were attracted to the brand because they believed in what the vision is. But again, it just comes to show why it is so important to have those right foundations, because it permeates everything. It permeates your distribution partnerships. It permeates your customer. It permeates your own relationship with yourself, the business, its operations, its employees. And that's why everything slowly but consistently starts. You can have a business that's been, very, very solid, but eventually it rots itself if the foundations are not true to what they originally were.
Yeah, so true.
Interesting. And when it comes to balancing building those right foundations versus growth after having those right foundations, what have you noticed to be the most important thing to transition from one to the other? Because that is a challenge, right? We have the right foundations and then we have growth. And because of the chaotic nature of growth, foundations can be altered or affected. So how do you manage those transitions? What is very important to know or to understand when you're going to, especially I'm guessing that's kind of like the period where you're going at now is, okay, we went through the process before, we made the mistake because growth changed our foundations, but what are we going to do now that we rebuilt our foundations to have productive growth in the future?
I think there's so many different things you could do, but one is, of course, to also learn how to say no. To collaborations, to wholesalers that are not the right for us, to different types of, I think in everything we do, in every type of collaboration that Dagmar is going to be sitting together with, what type of situation it is, it has to be right for the brand. So rather not do it if it's not 100% Dagmar. I think that's like the most important, not just to be happy for someone asking if we could do something together and do it. It has to really, really work with the brand and cohere with our woman. And she has to be inspired. Yeah. That's our goal the whole time, to inspire our woman in so many different ways. And if we do something that doesn't inspire her, then we have not succeeded, I guess.
But we can also not be for everyone. So we heard you have to broaden your target group.
Of course. And it's a very difficult balance.
Yeah. So we can't, I mean, we have decided we shall not be for everyone. That is the best decision we ever took.
I mean, for everyone as an end customer, yes, we're just happy that if everyone loves our brand, but we have to have a target who we aim for. Yeah. And then if that comes out to everyone else, of course, then we're more than happy for
everyone
that.
But invited, of course.
But I think we have to have a clear vision and super strong goal of who we are aiming for.
I mean, we can't consider in everyone as a target group, because then we would be very unclear of the
our vision.
So this has also been a part of building a brand and hearing from everyone who wants to broaden the target group, or they want us to do some think outside the box, do some crazy things. And we are like, what? Yeah, maybe. And I think crazy things can be in our little box, perhaps. But sometimes it's also good for us to hear and be kicked in the ass to take some steps that we don't normally do. So
yeah, for sure.
It's fun.
Yeah, everyone has to be pushed a certain way, as long as it's the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like entrepreneurs are interesting because we listen to everything, yet we ignore everything, and we mostly learn because we messed up, not because somebody warned us about it. That's what I've come to realize.
Learning by doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've always said it because it is, I mean, you hear people the importance of making mistakes, but it really is because there's almost, if you're an entrepreneur, you're not going to learn if you don't put your hand on the fire. And as long as you avoid catastrophic mistakes, you'll sort of be all right in the long term. That's just how the process looks like.
For sure.
And what about, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, but there's always a way out. I mean, there's been so many situations where I felt like, okay, maybe how will we get out of this situation? But I feel like we always find a way somehow. And I think that's also something, just not give up, just continue to go until it's not possible anymore. It's like, there's always a way.
That's a super entrepreneur.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. And what about when you have, board pressures? Did you restructure your board? Because I mean, those incentives are there, and investors rarely change, because they have a completely set of incentives usually, unless it's the right investor from the very beginning, which is another mistake that people tend to make very often. So how do you manage that process in this new stage of change?
We have some investors in the company that is super supporting, and we feel very great about them. Actually, we have a really good contact, and they are trusting us a lot and supporting. So
that's one good part, and also in the board, we feel at this moment, for not the first time maybe, but I feel really confident. Everyone who's there, we have great discussions, but I also think that we are stronger together now than we've ever been, probably. So it's also, if we are strong in our opinion, our way, and have a clear path, it's also easier for everyone else to understand us and to trust us, I think.
Okay.
Interesting. And when it comes to because I mean, it's a brand, very well established brand, but it's still relatively a small team, right? What is it, 35 to 50 people roughly?
30 even.
And the resources from a team perspective are kind of limited, especially based on how strong the brand is right now. So when it comes to finding the right partners, do you think everything is better if you manage to grow very, very? I'm trying to understand what's your whole mindset on growth now, because again, it's a brand with a lot of growth potential. Yeah, it's a small team. So is it more about patiently hiring everybody that you think is right for the culture? Is it more about finding the right international partners to help you sort of like balance growth versus patience? Because it's how are you making those decisions? Is it also based on, do they understand the customer? How are you making those decisions, or what are you thinking about all of this in general?
Great question.
Kind of many questions on the same time, but let's see.
Yeah, but I think it's the last point that you said. I think it's a combination, a bit of growing much more internationally now and building the brand at the same time, hiring people, because I feel like we have a great fundament now to grow as well, where we are now. We have a few places where we need to fill, but I think we feel that we are quite good for now. And I think we don't need many more people in order to take the next step in growth. And I think there's like a next step where we could reach with a few more places to fill, and then we could go quite far from that place. But then it's like the next step again, and then it's a different situation. So I think it's like you have to see it in different types of steps. Yeah, and we have to take it step by step, basically, at this point.
Interesting. And are you thinking about the steps more in terms of markets or strategies, channels, people?
In growth, I think.
Yes.
That's in growth and in people to be able to make that growth happen, of course. But then, of course, the markets and the strategies goes into that. But I think the strategy is quite clear and it's quite strong in the company at this moment. I think that's quite set now. We've been working a lot with that, and I feel we're strong in what we're doing. But now we need to have some growth in the company and grow internationally as well. I think that's where,
I mean, we're growing quite a lot through like we can see that the consumer is like really
the consumer accepted the brand quite easily.
So we're growing on our website with new people coming in, and also like social media is growth. But what we need is to find the right partners in retailers that we can. So that is going
that we feel works for the brand, and that's going to cohere with brand.
I mean, we have actually changed the whole distribution strategy. So all those partners we have now today are super much aligned with the brand and the position we have, and it feels when we are working with them, it's so easy. It's just like selling out. They have the right customer, really like buying into Dagmar. We just had a launch in New York in a store, and they sold out everything in the first 2.5 weeks. So it was like, wow, okay, here we have the customer. So it's very easy now when we have done this rebranding and select the new like partners in stores, and it feels like it's just a smooth path in a way. So
we have reached our customer more or less, and not everywhere, but like in a few places. And when that meets, I think that's when it becomes really good.
Of course, the newfound the rebuild foundations attract better relationships, which therefore attracts better end consumers. Interesting. That's definitely, I mean, that's a simple yet deep, I think, strategy from a sales perspective. But what about from a communications perspective? What do you think has been the most productive recently? Has it been collaborations? Is it just being very controlling with advertising and social media content? What do you think is the most productive thing to go about growth?
I mean, as you say, we're a small brand. We don't have any money for any big collaborations, any big marketing activities. We have been growing quite organically, I must say.
Only organically, but just also quite showing the brand. The life of the brand. That is the only thing we're doing.
And of course, some people want to wear Dagmar, and I think we have also there, as we said, in growing the brand, we have also been choosing the right partners to work with to wear our clothes. And I think that's also been something that we've changed, that we have really met our Dagmar woman also in person many times. And I think that's very important to have the right person, because she inspires our woman, and it's going to go quite easily, the wheel. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Just like a human relationship. Who are you will attract better friendships. As a business, who you are will attract better customers and better partners.
Yeah, very true.
Interesting.
Good.
Awesome. So just to sort of like wrap up this entire episode, and I did ask you this question before, but I'm going to ask it again a little bit more in a broader sense. What do you think is the most important piece of advice anybody could have given you at the time that you most needed it? And it could have been from a business perspective. It could have been a personal piece of advice, maybe with the relationship that you have with yourself, with your family, with the business. What would have?
I wish I had a stronger knowledge about building a brand when we started.
How important all these details are, and how important it is to stay focused. That we kind of
we're a bit all over the place.
We were, and now we have close those loops. We have we are much more focused.
But to have that I wish someone told me that a few years back.
So it's almost as if it's a combination of focus on your identity, discipline on your identity, and patience on growth.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Great. Well, that pretty much, yeah. That was great. And that was really good. And I think this is what's cool about having organic conversations, that the most important things to communicate are always repetitive, right? The importance of consistency and brand on originality and authenticity on brand and on patience. But because they're so simple ideas but so difficult to learn, it's almost that you need to like listen to them over and over and over and over again for it to actually dive through them. So I think that's going to be a great lesson for my listeners for sure. I know it's, even though I understand it superficially, it's something that almost everybody needs to learn more about. So just to end this in our conversation, I cannot thank you enough for sharing everything that you did share today. And I look forward to maybe my listeners making the same mistakes so that they can learn about how the process actually looks like.
Thank you for having us. It was really great.
Yeah.
And I must say, you have a lot of great questions, and I love all your summaries. It's making it clear for us, like, oh, is that what we've been doing actually?
Good. I'll take the compliment.
Yeah, for sure.
Super nice. Thank you for doing this.